What's up, Internet? You're tuning in episode 70 of the Steam Deck Podcast, Split Screen Games weekly gaming podcast, all about Valve's portable PC powerhouse, the Steam Deck. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined as always by my very good friends and co-hosts, Mr. Steven Radford,
Hello, hello.
Mr. Max Wright,
Ahoy, ahoy.
and then me. It's me, Pete. I said me
Hi.
already. Happy New Year, everybody. We're back.
Not
Happy
to
New
us,
Year
no,
indeed,
We've
yeah.
spoken, but yeah, happy New Year to everyone else.
Yeah, to the listener. You got,
To
you
the
know,
I've
we're
never,
already...
I've never spoken to you ever, Max. Like, who are you?
I'm
Please
new.
explain.
I'm Max. It's my first time here. I mean, I do sound a bit different. My nose is bunged up. I do sound a little bit
No.
more
You're
nasally.
fine. No one would have
Yeah.
noticed.
Oh no. This is what we said last time I was unwell. Actually, you said the exact same thing. I noticed, and that's what's important.
It's always one of those things, though, whenever I'm listening to a podcast and someone's like, I'm so sorry, I'm sick today. I'm like, you totally just brought my attention to it. You know,
Yeah.
like, it's like you were
Yep.
fine. I get it.
I went to Download Festival earlier last year, and I saw Slipknot, and like halfway through, Corey Taylor, after absolutely killing it, goes, "Oh, hey guys, just want to apologise. Like I've got a sore throat, so I'm really trying my hardest here." But he just like absolutely slayed it the whole time, and then proceeded to slay it for the rest of the set. And I was like, "What was he apologising for?" He
The
was
consummate
I
absolutely-
think maybe
professional.
that's like I'm terrible at pool. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I'm not going to win
You
any of
think he's
these.
hustling
And
the
then he
audience.
like closed up.
hustling.
Max is hustling the audience. He's like, look, hey, guys, I'm really sorry. And then everyone's like, Max did great today. What's he even talking about?
Absolutely phenomenal.
I just like to set the bar low.
Well, speaking of setting the bar high, we got a good episode this week. We're starting the year off with a bang. We're going to talk about the Steam Awards. We're going to talk about the last round of top games of 2023 December's. We've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about, but I want to kick things off with an icebreaker on this show, something we don't usually do. We had a question from one of you, the Largo Embargo, over on our Discord, who wrote in and said, maybe you've answered this before, but for the newcomers, how and when did you guys all meet? Have your gaming habits changed since then? And do you ever get together in real life? So this is a funny one because, like, I think we don't acknowledge the lore of our friendship very often because for so many of you, you have been with us through it. So we like feel like we're talking about old stuff, but I constantly don't think about the fact of how many people have come on and have no idea, right?
This is just a chance to reinvent the story now. We can come up
Yeah.
with a really cool like story about how we went on an adventure together.
We all hit
Yeah.
that homeless person with our car, and we've been bound together by that
Whoa.
secret.
No,
for-
see,
for-
Steve, it was fun. Now you've immediately now
You
now
know,
it's a
now
crime.
it's
Now
like,
it's
I
murder.
know what you did
I'd
last
rather be
summer.
bound by a dark secret that keeps us all together.
I would
know?
love to be bound by a good secret, though. Maybe not
All right,
murder.
fine, all right. We know where the buried treasure is hidden. We all know where the buried treasure is
Okay.
hidden.
Goonies never say die. I like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we were going to steal the Declaration of Independence, and it
Yeah,
was
that's
just a really good time.
There we go.
I like ironed the back of it to reveal a hidden map, and
I
got
love
some goofy glasses in Philly.
I love the idea that I was like, I decided I was gonna steal the Declaration of Independence, so I'm like, I gotta get some non-Americans to work
Get
this
some
job with me, and
They don't know
We're
the
like, we don't
importance
give
of
a
this
shit.
document,
Go
yeah,
ahead. That's
yeah.
not an important document to
yeah,
us.
steal
Like,
it. Who gives a shit? I'll take the money. And it's like and the cover is that we do a podcast together, right? That's how nobody will ever suspect a
Yeah,
thing that
that's how
we're
nobody
sending
has
each
a clue.
other documents back and forth. Okay, so that's how we met. No, but in reality, we all actually met at the same time. We all met working for another website. We all worked at an outlet called lootpots.com. And
We were the first three in.
yeah, we were. It was-
I was number set 2 in that Slack, and then you two both joined after me, and there we go. It was from there.
yeah,
Oh,
and
Max is employee number one.
yeah,
Number
and then and then we turned it around here, and he was the last one in the door here.
Yeah. Well, I joined Lootpots with the big dream of being involved in setting up a podcast, and then when I was like, when you guys were like, oh, we think you're doing this, I was like, that sounds great, and you were like, oh yeah, we're recording it at like 10 o'clock at night. I was like, nah, fuck off. It's not, that's
No,
not
we
happening.
recorded it we started
it
recording
in
it
the
in the
workday.
middle of
In
the
the workday,
workday
that
because
was
that's
it.
when Pixel could do it.
Yeah.
And you were just like, I can't do that.
Yeah, I
I'm
can't do it.
literally
That
at
was
work.
it.
I was waking up at like fucking like 6:45 or whatever to do it. It was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah.
But yeah, so we had all basically answered the call to go work for that website when the founder, Pixelpar, was looking to build out his team. And Steve and I started a podcast over there that we did for over 100 episodes. We were there for a while. And then once, the pandemic kicked off and everything, it kind of forced Loot Pots into a, I guess what
Hiatus.
was supposed to be a hiatus, and then it
Yeah.
kind of, it never really came back. And we decided to break off and start Flip Screen together. Because Steve and I wanted to keep working together, and
Well, I think a large part of it was that Lootpots was very centered around Nintendo. It was like a Nintendo fan
Switch only,
site,
Yeah.
and
wasn't it?
everything.
Yeah.
All the content was about the Switch, and I think it became clear in 2020 when the Xbox came out and the PS5 that Pete and I really wanted to talk about content other than that, and that our tastes lied outside of just Nintendo. And then obviously when the Steam Deck came out, it was all I could talk about, it was all Pete could talk about, so much so that it was kind of cannibalizing the entire Flip Screen show that we decided to bring out the Steam Deck podcast, which has been the most successful podcast that we do. And that's when we were just like, look, a third chair would be really good, someone who's actually a PC player, unlike Pete and I. And that's when Max kind of decided to come on board full time.
Yeah.
yeah, because
I've
you'd
been on
been
before, right? Yeah, I'd
yeah,
come
you'd been
on
guesting regularly basically since we started.
Yeah, I'd helped out with some of the Metroid stuff. So that was what 2021,
Yeah.
when Metroid Dread
Mm.
came out, and you guys were like, don't know. And I was able to come on and sort of talk about that. Yeah, I was. We were doing Loot Pots right up until the end of 2019. I remember because that's when I met Pixelpart in London for EGX. We were covering the games that were there, and then yeah, it was sort of very early 2020. We had some other people come on and join on for Animal Crossing, and that was still like big and happening. And then it just, we just sort of shot, very quickly realized, oh crap, there's so much else to talk about now that isn't just Nintendo.
Yeah, and there was like a
Good
point
point.
where, Steve and I were still doing the podcast, and it was still ostensibly a Nintendo podcast, but we were spending more and more time talking about things that didn't have to do with Nintendo.
Yeah, we
No,
just
and-
talk about Spider-Man and stuff. Like, you're just like, oh, I want to talk about Miles Morales. And it's
Yeah.
like, we probably shouldn't be talking about that here. Like, this is a podcast that people subscribe to. It's all about Nintendo, which is why we have 3 podcasts here. We had when we started, we had 2. It was like, well, we're going to keep doing Nintendo stuff. We're going to have Nintendo noise, and then we'll have Flip Screen, which will be for everything else. But there's just so much we want to talk about, especially when it comes to like the Steam Deck and
Mhm.
stuff, that we started up the 3rd podcast. And there are ambitions for more, but it's like time and energy.
Yeah,
I think we'd probably podcast full time if we could, but it's we're not quite there.
not quite, but we're
A
working on it.
few thousand more patrons, maybe, and we'll be all right.
Yeah. And then to answer the back half of that question, I don't know that I would say my habits have changed a ton. I mean, I think they've evolved, right, as new consoles have come out, and I was playing more PC stuff. I think when we started doing Loot Pots, I was like kind of still in my multiplayer PC era a little bit. That's kind of changed because I took a job that forced me to be at a desk all the time shortly after that. So that kind of killed my enthusiasm for playing on a PC anymore. And then obviously the Steam Deck coming in and kind of getting me back in that ecosystem has been a big change. But I think aside from that, yeah, like I've always kind of been a platform agnostic person because I was an only child who was bad at sports. So I had all 3 consoles and I played whatever, caught my attention on whatever platform, right? Which is why I think I have such a wide palette when it comes to what kind of games
Yeah.
I enjoy.
I mean, I had that luxury because my dad's a massive nerd who listens to this as well, and
Shout out to
we had a
Andy.
PlayStation.
Shout out
Yeah,
to
we had a
Andy. I say it
PlayStation and an
every week.
Xbox and GameCube and a Wii and like we had all the consoles we could. I've even got the Dreamcast that we had. It's in my cupboard under my stairs. We just really went in on all the dead consoles.
Everything.
And but PC gaming's where we all started. I started on like Diablo and stuff, but then it's progressed. But since we started podcasting together, I'd say really the only thing that's changed is like you said, Pete, just new consoles coming out. When we were first talking, it was like the end of the PS4's generation, like, you know, in that mid slump where there wasn't really much coming out. So we were constantly just playing what Nintendo's pumping out. And that's why we could do a podcast about it every week, because there was always new releases. The Switch was really exciting. It was what everyone was really talking about, and it was really, really hot.
And
But
we were
then as
talking
the
about
new
like
consoles came out,
when the new IP was going to come and stuff, right?
yeah,
Now that we're at the end of the life cycle and you've seen all those cards played, it feels different, right?
yeah. Whereas now it's like I get so excited about the handheld PC space because it feels so fresh and new. There's always something every single week. You know, there's
Yeah.
that like new like thing from MSI that's coming next week that we'll talk about then. There's potentially Intel's first foray into the space, and like the fact that the Steam Deck came out and really kind of put this market on a pedestal and really brought attention to it versus when you know, when GPD was doing it, who was really watching it? Like a
Yeah.
few people. It was a niche thing. Yeah, it's still a niche thing, but now it's more open. There's more people to listen about it, which I
Yep.
think is really cool.
I remember the GPD win. People were sort of like talking, "Oh, why would you want to have a Switch where you can have a GPD win that does this, that, and the other?" And I was like, "Well,
Because it was
all
like
right, that seems a
$1,000. It was
bit,
like
yeah,
$1,000.
And it was just like a small laptop with you know a full keyboard on it, and I was like, yeah, this seems like a weird little machine, but now I get it. I totally get it, and we're now in a sort of a new emerging market, and I do think we have the Switch to thank for that. I think we have the Switch to thank for this show existing and for us sort of being friends as well. So I think we owe the Switch a lot, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who podcast, write online, you know, make games, all this stuff that probably have the Switch to thank for the success of their game or you know them having a career because it seems like it was such a cornerstone moment for a lot of people.
I mean, I think it was because they, you know, there was a growing number of people that felt Nintendo should get out of hardware, right?
Mhm.
Because of the failure of the Wii U and, you know, the kind of waning years of the Wii being kind of dire, right? In terms of software releases and stuff. Um, and I think like not only did it bring Nintendo back, I think it proved that handheld gaming was not dead. You know, there was that kind of like era where it was like, oh, you know, mobiles come up and that's eaten into the casual market and it's limited how successful these things can be. And, you know, I think there was that attitude that like it had peaked, you know, and that like it had become this niche product. And I think it proved that it isn't. And that now that you have like a de facto market leader like that, you get these products like the Steam Deck and, you know, this potential MSI device and all the other competitors we've talked about, um, like Ioneo, that can now be a niche and capitalize on that existing market that has proven to still be there, right? That people do want portable systems. They want systems that are modular and that can, you know, move with them. And then do we get together in real life? We don't. I live in a different country than the two of you. So that makes
But I
that
feel like
difficult.
me and Steve, I think we've mentioned it before. I've made many jokes about being in your house, Steve, about wanting to use your bathroom and
Wow.
things like that. I've made many jokes and things like
Yeah.
that. But it's like we've never really just got around to. I know that Pete, you've had some of the old Loot Pots guys round, right? You and DJ not hooked up,
Yeah,
hang
yeah.
out that
We we
time.
we linked up and
Linked up, thank you.
Chewy and I
Oh yeah.
have gotten together, right? Like he
And
came out.
Sierra.
Well, I was gonna say Sierra and I were friends before this, you know. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
we hang out more now, but which is great. But yeah, like you know, I Sierra is a person I met in real life, right? Whereas all the rest of you
Oh
I met
really?
on the internet.
Oh, interesting. So did you bring Sierra in with AJ and what they were doing, whatever their redirect? Did you bring Sierra in with them? Because I know that AJ knows Sierra, but
Yeah,
I don't know if
yeah, that was
that's
how they met. They met
oh,
through me.
okay. Interesting, cool.
At least I think
Um,
they met through me. I like.
yeah, I mean, maybe how
Oh
great.
God.
Steve, maybe 2024 is the year then that we come together. How about we hook up, and
No, I think we'll link up. I'm okay with
we
that.
can link up. All right. EGX 2024, Steve, you up for that?
Where is it this year? Is
Hopefully
it in
not
London?
Birmingham. Hopefully London, yeah.
Oh, I'm
When is
hoping
it?
it's Birmingham.
Oh, I don't wanna have to deal with a bunch of Brummy people, mate. I don't wanna have to listen to that
Come on,
accent all
man.
these
NEC is so much easier than the Excel
Well,
Centre.
not anymore. Excel's
So much
lovely. Now they've got the
easier.
Elizabeth line, mate. It's lovely.
Okay,
Not
I
as
went
lovely.
there for the
Gonna
World Travel Market and it was a nightmare. The whole place was parked.
We're gonna rein in the regionally specific traffic conversation, gang. Yeah, hopefully this will be the year we finally meet up in real life, right? Steve and I were supposed to get to see each other in real life. Not last year, the year before that, and
Yeah.
things fell through. But so we've been talking about trying to make it happen this year for
I
an
was
event
supposed to
or
come
something.
to London to America in 2020. I was planning on going to the East Coast of America and sort of just meeting up with a bunch of people, doing a bunch of stuff. And then COVID happened, so I just never got a
Offers on
chance
the
to
table, but I got a
go.
guest room if you
Yeah,
want to come through. Anyway,
perfect.
so thank you for the question, Largo Embargo. I hope that was illuminating for those of you who were wondering, and the newer listeners. Thank you all for joining us here for another wonderful year of the Steam Deck podcast. I am very excited for all the stuff we got planned in 2024 for this show and all of our sister shows. So definitely make sure you go and check all that stuff out. And speaking of sister shows, if you want to hear a little conversation about some of the games we played on Steam Deck over break, you should definitely go check out the latest episode of the Flip Screen Games podcast where we did our Game of the Year discussion. And we talked quite a bit about a number of games we played on Steam Deck, several of which we got to over our winter break. So if you want to hear a little extra Steam Deck conversation this week, make sure you go check out our Game of the Year conversation. Good episode. So let's close out 2023 on Steam Deck because we got two stories here I want to jump into. The first of which is the Steam Awards, because of course they, like us, right, happen in January. The whole year is closed out. They let the entire Steam community vote on a number of categories, and unlike some of the other major awards, that you might consider, right? It's all voted on by the players, right? And it's also not limited by games that were released within that calendar year. So you get a pretty interesting smattering of games
Mm.
on the list, right? Of some of the big hits of the year, but then also maybe games that came to Steam for the first time or found second life on the Steam Deck or whatever, right? And
Or
had
just
a moment.
it could be anything, as we saw with Red Dead Redemption 2. It's just
Yeah.
that people are still playing it and they want to put it on the list. And what's interesting is it's not just voted for by the people; it's nominated by them too. So I think it was in November they put out like a call for you to put forward your favorite games as nominees, which I of course did for Deceiving, and then you could then vote on them in December. And apparently, I voted in 0 categories. I unlocked none of the stickers,
Yeah, I saw
which
this as
I'm
well.
quite
I'm pretty
sad about.
sure I nominated. Maybe I nominated, didn't vote. I can't remember which one I
I'm
did, but yeah, I'm
I'm
getting those stickers.
I'm very interested because it says I did 6. So I'm like, what did
Ah,
I get halfway through and then just give up?
You
Like,
could got bored.
I guess,
how
which is
weird.
like totally possible. Like, I
You
had
know what? I think
ADHD,
it's when
but
we were No, I think it was when we were talking about it on the podcast, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm voting for them now." And then I was like, "Oh, these badges, you can sell them." And you're like, "Wait, what? I can
oh
make
my
money?" And you
god,
like started
you're
selling the
right. You
badges
messed
on
it
the
up.
show instead.
I made
Oh, and you
five
sell badges in
dollars.
Steam? How do you sell book badges? What?
Max, you don't remember
What?
this. I also
Oh my
forgot.
god.
You got to go to the badges on your Steam profile, and you have a bunch of them just for playing games. And you can go and put them on the marketplace. And if you put them they'll give you an amount that you can sell it for that somebody's looking for at that price, and it'll auto sell. I made $5 just selling them. It's great.
Are we talking just like about the cards, the
The
playing card
collectible
thing?
cards.
Yep.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can sell them, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
For like money.
Interesting.
Yeah,
There you go.
Alright.
and then you can use that money to buy games. It's great. Those
To buy the
games that
Mass
Pete
Effect
forgot to
Legendary
buy on the
Edition, and then
Witness
you
stuff.
forget to actually click purchase on it, and then now
Yeah,
you're sad, and it's in your cart again, and it's $60.
that's real sad, man.
Next time.
Real sad.
Next time I'll save my $5. But anyway, I wanted to just go through the categories real quick, and just talk about, who won and I guess like if there were any games we were surprised to see take the awards, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple. I was really surprised to see, yeah.
All right.
Let's
So
go through it.
let's go from the bottom. So the Sit Back and Relax Award, which is the game that's an antidote to your busy day, smooth, relaxing, and lets your worries melt away. This is your moment of zen. Dave the Diver won this one.
I'm really glad you're reading
Makes
out
sense.
I'm really glad you're reading out the blurb before you say the game as well, because it's really going to help really put the juxtaposition on some of these things. Yeah, I
Yes.
I'm really okay with Dead the Diver getting this because it seems like that kind of game, and I am desperate to play it now. But yeah, just look at that happy guy, man. What a good looking
That
game.
happy little guy.
Yeah, yeah, I'm enjoying it. The look of it. The guy, not the game. I haven't played it, but
It is a good game. I highly recommend it. It was on my game of the year list, and yeah, you should go listen to that
Spoilers.
episode because it's very good.
Don't tell them. They have to go
It
listen.
might be on my game of the year. It might be. I couldn't say. Apparently.
Look, I'm trying to get some of these Steam Deck folks to go check that episode out. All right, let's come on. Let's bump that one up. All right, it's a good episode. All right,
it is a good episode.
can't be telling them what games are on the list. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. So then we got outstanding story-rich game. Some days only a narrative-heavy game will hit the spot, and this one packs a wallop. It is as gripping as any soap opera and as well-tuned as a prestige TV screenplay. Bravissimo for making us feel things. Like the Italian there, thank you. Baldur's Gate 3, unsurprisingly, on this one, right? Nobody, I think,
Hard,
is surprised by
hard
that.
to argue. Oh, you can see the finalists.
I don't know.
You can.
I
Yeah.
know love is all around. I am not even joking when I say I am going to get love is all around. It looks like 5 dates, and I'm so it's like an Asian 5 dates, and it looks amazing. So
Great.
there's 6 women you can take on a
I
date.
my
I'm
thing
really
is
excited about it.
I don't think this game winning is an indictment on any of the other games that were nominated. Like, they're all games with good stories,
Mhm.
by, what from what I've heard, right? I've not played, any of the other ones, actually. But I feel like Baldur's Gate 3 is, like, probably it has to be in the conversation for, like, the best script in any video game
Yeah.
because it's as good as it is, and there's so much of it, and that
Yeah.
all of it feels good and important is, like, such an incredible achievement that I feel like you gotta give them their flowers for that, no?
Story rich as well, like that there is
Yeah.
it's very rich. It's there's so much option, there's so many opportunities, there's so many possibilities that it's hard to argue that really. I am glad to see some of the other finalists of games that I've played and enjoyed. No spoilers here. Lies of P, Jedi Survivor, and Resident Evil 4 are all great games, and I think Lies of P's story, as I said to you on an episode I won't mention, Pete, that you were surprised to hear that Lies of P sort of had, or you were glad to hear that Lies of P had a genuinely interesting story alongside the normal Souls like, what the way that you learn about the world and stuff. So glad
Yeah.
to see that the gamers felt that too.
Yeah, and, like, I think, again, something that I said on that episode that won't be named, is that, it's cool to see somebody that's not from software, like, make a game in that genre that people connect with that deeply. Because you've had a couple at bats like that, but, like, this felt like a moment, right? Like, that was a big game this year, and, you know, cool to see the best Souls-like game of the year being from somebody that's not the progenitors, right? Because I think that shows that that genre has legs beyond their ability to make, gangbusters game of the year, one of the best games of all time every 4 or 5 years or whatever, right? Like,
Mhm.
other people being able to learn from that and then iterate and do new things, like have a story in it that would win, outstanding story rich game or be nominated. Yeah, that's really cool. That's innovative, right? You love to see it.
I agree.
Number 3 is the Best Soundtrack Award. This one went to The Last of Us Part 1. The other finalists were I as somebody who, like, likes the soundtrack of The Last of Us, I'm surprised the games it beat out. It beat out
I'm looking at this list and thinking the same thing.
Hi-Fi Rush, Chants of Sinar, Persona 5, Tactica, and Pizza Tower. It's like, I I mean,
I know it has that
Pizza
one
Tower's
good
soundtrack
song.
is incredible. Like, it's unreal good.
The Last of Us Part 1 has the theme song to The Last of Us. I actually don't know that in the sort of times that I played the game, I've ever been like, "Oh, yeah, the music to The Last of Us." Whereas
Oh, the music
there
is
are
phenomenal, Max. Honestly, it's like it really just sets the scene at every moment. Like it's yeah,
It is
I love that. I
very
love
good.
that soundtrack.
It's very good. I just, like
I just listen to that soundtrack when I'm working sometimes. It's that good. But Pizza Tower soundtrack is phenomenal. And I also
It's
dislike the
new.
fact that this is an old game, but
mm,
it's the first time it came to PC, so I can understand
Yeah,
why
alright.
it,
I'll give you
it gets
that.
here.
Yeah, that's fair. I
time
don't
to
know.
get time
Surprising.
to time to disagree with that in the next one, Steve.
Okay. Next one, best game you suck at award goes to Sifu. The other games on the list were Street Fighter 6, Overwatch 2, EA Sports FC 20. Do you say FC 24 or do I? I'm not.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
no,
not
yeah,
supposed
that's
to
Just
call
call it
it.
FIFA. Everyone calls it FIFA.
Just
I'm not
no,
Still,
calling it
still call it
FIFA. We're
FIFA.
moving on from FIFA. FIFA's dead. Everybody.
Why you still call it Twitter? Like
Oh,
That's
that's dead
different.
too.
That's different. All right, I gotta ask
Not
Ryan
really.
about that one.
That-
I don't care about FIFA as an organization like that. That's all right. You know, I don't know enough about soccer to have an opinion about FIFA. We've moved on from FIFA though. I can't be creating brand confusion. Lords of the Fallen, and then our winner Sifu, right? Were our nominees. This is one not a new game, right? This was a game from last year.
Oh, but see, hang on. I'm looking at the. I'm looking at the.
Was the
type-
PC released this year?
The Steam release seems to be this year. I think it was an Epic
Oh.
exclusive for however long, a year
Okay.
or whatever.
That makes sense to
actually
me
makes
then.
a lot more sense. Yeah, I was.
sure.
I was like, what? But yeah, that seems to be the case. All right, I take back my comment about Steve
That makes sense to
hating
me.
this.
That makes sense.
I would really like to play Sifu. It really does seem up my
very
alley.
hurt.
I'm sorry, Steve. I'll do a formal apology next week. I promise. There's some omissions on this, and I do feel like something like Lies of P should sort of really feature here, but over maybe like FIFA. But I guess maybe there are going to
Maybe
be
people
FIFA
don't
fans.
find it
that-
difficult. Maybe it's
Yeah,
more
true.
multiplayer centric.
Yeah.
This one, all these seem to be multiplayer games, right?
That's true, actually. Yeah,
Sifu,
Lords of the Fallen
Sifu is
and
the only
Sifu
one
are.
that's not, I guess. Oh, yeah, Lord of the Fallen. I don't really know, but Sifu's not really a multiplayer game, right? Like that's just single player.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think Lords of the Fallen is also entirely single player.
It is
Mixed
kind of weird.
reviews.
It is kind of weird to not have Lies of P on that
Then
one.
I
But I mean,
retract my statement.
I'm kind of
Maybe
surprised.
people who didn't not enough people played it, and that might just be what it was. That not
Yeah.
enough people played it to nominate it in the first
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, and that these other games just had bigger releases, and that was it, right? Whereas like
Could
the
be.
story-driven thing, you know, the people that play story games are gonna vote a certain way, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
I was surprised to see Overwatch 2 on this list though, because I was like, who's playing that? Who's playing it to be bad at it? I thought
It's
nobody
got-
plays that one, no?
Overwhelmingly negative reviews as well. So who's voting it? Maybe they read it as games that suck, so they decided to vote Overwatch 2 and FIFA. Sorry, FC 24 or whatever. But
Look, if you want to call it FIFA, that's fine. I'm just saying I'm not gonna.
I've had like decades of
Yeah,
having to call it FIFA. Like
I'm with you.
you know,
I'm with you. I'm with you. I get it. I get it. All right, let's move it along. Next one is most innovative gameplay award. This one went to
well,
Star.
hang on. Read the
Oh,
the
right.
blurb first.
Sorry. Oh, I didn't read it for the last one. This game, for the suck one, it's the game that rewards persistence, and it's not for the faint of heart. It's the toughest game we've ever loved. For this one, it's the designers of this game are at the front lines of creative experimentation, bridging a fresh perspective and brain-breaking surprises. This game delighted, inspired, and entertained with newness never played before. Before you comment, because I know it seems like you want to come off the bench here. The other ones were Shadows of Doubt, Contraband Police, Remnant, and Your Only Move is Hustle. So what do you think about this, Max?
Did you say the winner?
Yeah, it's Starfield.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. So I can only think this has to be like a collective group troll or something like that. Because I don't think any of these games particularly jump out to me as like being
Yeah, it does.
innovative or things like Cocoon and stuff that have come out and sort of done new stuff, or there's got to be something other than Starfield that is innovative this year in gameplay. Any of the other the things that Baldur's Gate 3 can do, maybe it's been done in the previous games, but this is like the big jump out hit. Things like, I don't know, there's just Chance of Sonar.
Yeah, but I also
Which
think
does
some
really
of that
interesting
has
things.
built upon like I think Baldur's Gate also built upon stuff that Disco did, right? It doesn't maybe feel like fresh innovation, whereas I do think there was some fresh innovation with Starfield. I don't know of a game that did that ending with the new game plus stuff as well, but looking at the reviews on Steam, which are basically negative, and it's been review bombed to the sun and back, I do agree with you that this is probably a collective that has come together and be like, let's all vote for Starfield. It'd be
Yeah.
hilarious if that wins.
Well,
the
let me ask you
innovation
this
award.
though: is it because that might be true, but I wonder if it's the opposite. that it is the vocal group of people that actually really fuck with Starfield that are like, this game deserves to be praised and we're gonna go vote for it, right? Like, I don't know if y'all have seen any of the comments on the episode that we're not talking about on this show. But we got some people that responded to that and being like, yeah, fuck yeah, Starfield. Like, cool that you were saying that it was a good game, like those people exist. And I wouldn't be surprised if, yeah, it's overwhelmingly negative, but you made the point on a recent show, Steve, that like a lot of those review bombs are from people that played like less than 10 hours of the game, right? Whereas like there are lots of people that
Yeah,
have
yeah.
played it 10 times through or whatever, right? And like love it and mess with it, and maybe they're out there voting for it every day, and that's how it got through. Because none of these other games are really games that like had momentum behind them like that at all,
Yeah.
right? Like, I, to be transparent with you, I've not heard of two of the games on this list.
No, I've not heard of 3 of them. I've only heard of Remnant 2 and Starfield. But yeah, I just think there are. It's just the weirdest thing about this for me is that when Starfield first came out, and I was like, the people were actively excited for it. I had friends that were playing it. I had people in like groups that I was in that were playing it, and I was like, okay, as someone who has never understood the whole Bethesda thing, to be able to get excited about it in the build up, I was like, I have not seen anything about this that has excited me. What is it about this that excites you so I can feel excited? And they were like, oh, it's basically exactly what I want, which is Fallout in space. Now, that doesn't scream innovation to me. That screams they've made Fallout in space, something that already exists in a different setting. Where do we sit on that?
I think for me, the
But
I
that ending's innovative. I
I
really
agree with
think
that.
that ending is the thing.
but
Do you think
also,
enough people got to that?
I mean, I think the people that vote for this kind of stuff probably did.
Yeah, that's true.
And like, I think to your point, like, I think sometimes we talk about innovation like in this very kind of like narrow context that like it can only happen that like because something has some stuff in common with another thing that it can't be in. Like Breath of the Wild was the how manyth game in the Zelda franchise, but it was extremely innovative, right? That doesn't mean it has nothing in common with
Mhm.
the games that came before it. It doesn't mean it has nothing in common with other games in the genre. It means that it did something that pushed the genre forward. I would argue that, to Steve's point, there's the ending element of Starfield and the way that it utilizes New Game Plus to encourage you to role play. That is innovative. But also, I think that a lot of the levers that you're able to pull in the game, like during character. Oh, okay, we lost Steve for a second here. Hopefully, he's back in a minute. Between character creation and also like the moment to moment gameplay, like there is a lot of innovation there. Like I think, aside from Baldur's Gate 3, which unfortunately is um, is what it is, right? It's a Herculean experience and like a game that allows you to have an insanely deep level of role playing. I think that unfortunately made some of the things that are innovative about Starfield feel less special. Like I don't think it maybe gets as much credit as it should for how much some of the decisions that you make, like just like little things, right? Like you can make a decision in the character creator to be a part of a certain faction before you know what those factions are, right? And like the way that fundamentally changes the way that you interact with the world, the dialogue options that you get. It's not to say that like no other game has done those things, but I think that Starfield bakes it into the experience in a way that is different than a lot of those other games. Where like even like Baldur's Gate, for example, right? Like a lot of those kinds of like non-binary choices that are like there's all these things going on in the background, right? In Baldur's Gate, right? Like I chose to be a rogue, you chose to be a warrior. So every time you and I go into a situation, we have different skills that are getting checked, different, we have different ways to solve problems. Like all those things are, you know, like it's very, very deep, right? And I think with Starfield, it's less about that. It's less about being like, you are this type of character. So now you're in the box and this is the way that you're supposed to play. They ask you to do it on a more metatextual level. It is more like, what kind of person do you want to be this run? Are you going to be an explorer? Are you going to like, go and scan every planet and build out settlements and do all that stuff? Are you going to be a ship guy and get into building the perfect ship? Are you going to go and, do the corpo stuff? Are you going to go, it's like, it's about like deciding what type of adventurer you are and then going and following that to its natural conclusion. And I
Sure.
think that doesn't work for some people. I understand that it asks more of you. It's very funny to me. I think it's very similar to how a lot of people feel about Elden Ring, where they're like, or stuff like that, where it's like you need to just get over the hump, and then when you figure out what the game is trying to do to show you and how it wants you to engage with it, you'll get more out of it. And if that doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. And I don't think that you're wrong to feel that way. But I I think it has something there that is innovative and special and has a kind of, you know, X factor that I get why the people that it connects hard.
Hmm. I'm okay with all of this. That has answered my question thoroughly. Um, Steve's back.
I was here. I have no idea what happened. I was chatting and I was like, "Am I muted?"
Oh yeah.
And then
You
Max
were
was like, "You're gone." And I'm like,
you've
"What?"
been gone for like
Yeah.
5 minutes.
You
No,
You
cut
I was
out.
like chatting in the box and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
You cut out. I acknowledged that you cut out, and I was like, by the time I'm done with this point, he'll be back.
and
It worked out.
exactly on time.
Right on cue.
Exactly.
Okay,
Uh
well, hi, I'm back. But,
any other
I
thoughts you were trying to say that you want to summarize and throw
Yeah.
in here before we move
I was
on?
gonna say, I don't know any other game that lets you have a fan that follows you around or buy a house that you are stuck with a mortgage
Animal Crossing.
um, like, give money to your parents because before you know what you really want to do in the game, and you get a buff and a debuff from it. And I love that about Starfield. I thought all that was really, really cool and really, really charming. I know I liked Starfield. I do think there's innovation there. I don't necessarily think it's the most innovative game that came out in 2023. I do think Baldur's Gate probably has more innovation, but at its core, Baldur's Gate is Dungeons and Dragons. Is like has much
Exactly. So how
changed on that
innovative
in
is it?
30 years? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and that's not to say anything against it, but it's like executing on something perfectly isn't necessarily innovative either, right? So I don't know. I guess it depends on how you define innovation. I think they're both really good games, and I think they achieve the same thing in very different ways.
Mhm. I also really love to see on the Steam Awards like small games from solo developers like Your Only Move is Hustle up against AAA games like Starfield. I just
Yeah,
think it's so fun.
it's
And
great.
and there's another one on the list that I think it might be it's two up, but we'll skip to it. Better with Friends Award, with this Lethal Company. That's a solo developer that made that game.
Really?
Like a 21-year-old solo developer made that game, and it's like the most popular multiplayer game on Steam,
It was more
and
popular
They
than
has
are.
fucking Call of Duty on
and
Steam
has
for
won a Steam award. It's just
awesome.
Are
insane.
they gonna be rolling in cash in a way that no one's ever seen?
Yeah, I think this is probably like a Stardew Valley overnight millionaire
Or
situation.
I mean, like PUBG was before it fell off,
Yeah.
Mm,
right? Like it blew up,
Yeah,
and you're like,
shame.
oh shit, this is one to watch. And then something came and ate their lunch. But I mean, yeah, like a one person team like this, this is gonna fund their next 3 games probably, which is sick. You love to see
It
that.
really ate their lunch.
A
Like,
lot of people in our Discord were talking about this game positively. So yeah, not really my genre, but very cool. Very cool to see an independent game uh like shaking it up because like seeing Call of Duty falter for a year and seeing a new game come in and like eat its lunch is like, ooh, okay, cool. Like, would love to see, you love to see a small company come. It's like the Baldur's Gate thing, right? Come out and like make the king sweat, right? And be like, hey, what's up? Like, this
mhm.
is the new generation of developers, and this is how we're moving and shaking now. Like, it's very cool, very cool. Um, the other games on this list were Sunken Land, Warhammer Dark Tides, Sons of the Forest, and Party Animals. So good company.
yeah, this isn't really a genre that really does much for me, but yeah, a few of the games I have heard that a few of my friends have been really into in this year. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
a Deserved, I think.
I miss
Do
having a
you not
crew to
really play
this.
any multiplayer? Like, neither of you really play any multiplayer
I
at all?
used to.
Sometimes.
It's just kind of like when I was younger and I was actively playing multiplayer games on PC. It's because it was like me and my friends were all younger. We were all in our like early to mid 20s and underemployed, and it was easy to be like, everybody's awake from 10 to 5 in the morning or whatever, and let's jump on and play some video
Mm.
games because we all don't have to go to work until the middle of the day or whatever. But now everybody, like, it's just what happens when you get older, right? Like, it's like I have less free time, and when I do have free time, I want to spend it with my partner or whatever, like my friends in real life or whatever, and it's like you just have less time to uh game overall, let alone to link up with enough people to play like a 5-player game or something like that, right? Like I used to have enough friends online playing games that like we had too many people to queue up for a 5-person team, right? Whereas now the idea of me having 4 friends that are all free, eager to play the same game at the same time, it's just less likely. And then when that stopped, I did it with you. And then when we stopped streaming, it's like, all right, well, I just don't have a reason to play these games, and I don't have
Mhm.
enough people to rope in to do it. Like I would love to have played Party Animals, but I'm not going to play it by myself. And even if
Yeah.
I have one friend that wants to play it, it's really only fun if you have like 4 or 5 people or whatever. So it's like, what am I supposed to do?
I played a shit ton of, like Valheim, and I just played loads of Monster Hunter as well, but that's very much like with a person, like a specific person. We play those games together. There's other games I've tried, but at no point am I like, "Oh, I'm gonna sit and spend 10 hours in like a game where you're," like I played a lot of Overwatch in the past, but now that's, that idea of like just playing a game, getting, every now and again and losing or winning or whatever. Like I just quite like finishing a game. You start a game, you finish a game. It's on my own schedule, it's on my own time. I don't have to worry
Yeah.
about my time being taken up by someone who's better than me or has had loads of time to play the game. And not to say that those kind of games are invalid or that I won't ever play them again, but right now in the way that I am right now, like with my schedule and play the way that I play right now, single player stuff just fits in better, really. And there's
Yeah.
just so much of it as well.
And I guess this honestly takes us back to the question we had at the top of like how our tastes have changed. I think that's something that changed for me too, like as I've gotten, deeper into like, talking about games on the internet, like there's an incentive for me to want to taste more tastes, right? And like playing the 6,000th game of League of Legends for 45 minutes versus spending 45 minutes playing an indie game that might be my new favorite and, is a game I could recommend to people and have something to talk about. Like, I think
What if Lethal Company's that thing? Because you don't have to have a group of friends that you go in with Lethal Company. You can go in and it'll put you in a party, and the way
yeah,
that, like, chat works in that game is if you're near them, you can talk to them. If you're further away, you're not able to talk to them. It's meant to be like, you're venturing into, like, a
cooperative.
space station on your own. Do you go completely on your own and
Yeah.
you can't scream for help, or do you kinda stay close with them? I always think those games are better with a group of friends
Yeah.
but you could go in and
And it's I
play
don't
them
know, it's
yourself.
me too, Steve. Like I say this, but it's like I got into multiverses,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
not that long ago. Like I was playing
And
that
and
with my
before that,
friend.
you were playing that Pokemon game, Marvel Snap's a multiplayer game, like
Totally.
That's a good point. I play a lot of Marvel
The
Snap.
right game, exactly, right? Like Max, you and I talked about Marvel Snap all the time, right? And it's like, uh, when the right game comes along, I will play it. But I think a lot of these, like, again, this is the better with friends award, though, right? And like that is tougher. It's easier for me to get into a game like when I was playing Halo, when that was when the multiplayer was popping off. And I was playing it by myself most of the time just because I didn't have friends that were ready to play with me. But I would be like, I would literally go in our Discord sometimes and be like, I'm jumping on Halo. Does anybody want to come on? And like Doc jumped on and played with me. Zayd jumped on and played with me. I played with some of my friends I grew up with and stuff. I never had more than one person playing with me at a time though. Whereas like when I was a teenager and I was playing Halo 3, I had a enough friends in our lobby that we could only play big team battle. So it's like it's just different. So we got a couple more words to get through, but let's before we do that, I'm gonna remind you that this episode of the Steam Deck podcast is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of January. They are, of course, Arnold J. Rimmer, Christopher Valens, Earth Visitor, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, aka Asobi, Snackigo, Steve Stompy, Susan Likes Cats, and also Boobies, Ty the Dude, and Wakahula. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. You're all the realest of the real, and we greatly appreciate your support of this and all of our sister shows. We have a call to action for you this week. In addition to going and checking out our Game of the Year episode, I want you all to write in with your thoughts about the new MSI Steam Deck competitor that is being rumored. Right now, you can go check it out. We'll have a link down below. There are some screenshots over on Tom Warren's Twitter, and it seems like they're going to be revealing this thing this week at CES. So I'm guessing that'll be our main topic next week. If you want to write in with your thoughts, I mean, obviously, when the full reveal comes through, if you want to share your thoughts on the device, please do. But if you want to, let us know your thoughts about your interest in a device from MSI, what you think a device like that would need to do to really be a legitimate competitor to the Steam Deck, we'd love to hear from you. Any thoughts from you two on that one?
I think I also want to know if with like this bit, right? We're doing this next week, yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
We'll do it.
I'll say
Okay.
this. We have a question from Six Shot Ocelot that's asking about what do you think 2024 will bring in terms of Steam Deck interface, new features, peripherals, mods? What do you want in 2024 to bring in terms of the Steam Deck for all those things? So it's kind of like, what do we think we'll get? What would we like to get?
Mhm.
If you want to write in about any of that too, please do. Love to hear what your hopes and dreams are for the Steam Deck in 2024. And give me like one of each, right? Give me one lofty, like, this would be crazy, but I would love this, and one thing you think could actually happen.
I
Mhm.
think we're all coming to this with the exact same lofty expectation. With the same we've had for over a year now.
I have
What?
2.
Well, we'll have to wait till next week. Don't spoil it.
We
Don't
won't
tell me
spoil
now,
it.
because it might ruin my choice. And if we do round robin style, I might steal your answer.
That's true. And I went first this time, so I have to go last next time.
All right, let's jump back into the awards. So this was the one that we skipped. So we'll go back to this one. Outstanding Visual Style Award. Visual style doesn't aspire to real world graphical fidelity, though a noble goal in itself. It describes a distinctive look and feel that suffuses an entire game. Great word, by the way. Suffuses.
Suffuses. Yeah.
Love it. We had 5 finalists. Darkest Dungeon 2. I get around to that one. I loved the first game. Never played the sequel. Cocoon, Atomic Heart, High on Life, and Inward. Atomic Heart ended up being the game that took it.
I've never.
Which looks
I,
gorgeous, but so does Inward. Oh my god, I look at that, and I know the recent reviews are mixed on it, but holy shit, what a gorgeous looking
Nice
game that
looking
Yeah,
game
is.
that's
for sure.
cool. It looks like the kind of game that wouldn't be for me because it looks very much like the the game is just the goal of the game is just to play it, as opposed to there being a goal or an aim to reach for. It's just
Sure.
like, yeah, play and enjoy. But yeah, the what you seem to be able to do is nice. I don't think that I have ever seen like anything of Atomic Heart and thought, wow, that looks incredible.
See, I disagree because I think before it came out and like the reaction was, it's okay, like it's just fine. I did think that the visual style was part of what was interesting about it because like it not in terms of a like look at these colors, look at
Mhm.
this, whatever. It's
It's like
more the
Russian
like
steampunk.
exactly the vibe of the world was definitely, I think, very visually unique, and having this like Soviet Union meets steampunk with all these like fucked up robots and everything, like that retro future kind of aesthetic, that that as a vibe and a feel is like not like, maybe not no other, but not like many other fictional
Mhm.
worlds that we get, let alone in video games, right? Like usually if you're, um, shooting a gun in a game, you're an American, right? And it's
Yeah.
like I like the idea of us, getting stories like that take uh visual cues from other cultures and like other iconography and stuff that is not so well worn, right? Obviously, I feel that way as an American, but it's like I know from talking to you guys that it's like so much of the shit that I see all the time, you see all the time because
Mhm.
that's how it is, right? And it's like
You should play stuff
games
like the Metro games though. Like there are things out there if
totally,
you want to
totally.
Yeah.
explore,
But
but it
that's like
is few and
Chernobyl.
far between.
Oh,
that's like
small
one,
said,
yeah, that's
sorry.
like one example though, or two examples if you go into the indie space, right?
Mhm.
And like, you know, I got a friend that's a big Metro fan. I watched them play through what 2033 or whatever. Cool, you know, but that's one. It's one game. And like, where's Metro? When's the last time we got a Metro game? You
Yeah.
know? I think it stinks that this game wasn't better than it is. Because it would have been a really cool victory, I think, in that way, in the same way that we were talking about, what was it? Lethal Company, right? Of like, oh yeah, cool. It's like this smaller studio coming out doing something that, you wanted to see compete on the same level as something like a Wolfenstein or a Doom or a Far Cry or whatever. And it just doesn't seem like it quite had that level of steam, which is a bummer.
I thought it was a BioShock sort of style game originally, but I'm looking at the trailer for it. I've never really looked too deep into it, but yeah, I think it's got a cool like design to it. I think visually, like it doesn't stand out to me as like the graphics are doing anything that interesting, but I like the visual style of it. I can see where this has got its
It's the personality I think it has.
yeah. There are a few games that I can think of from this year that I'd probably rate over it. I would just have to actually think about it. We don't have time for that, but I'm glad Cocoon got mentioned because Cocoon is a very good looking game.
Very stylish
Um,
for sure.
very size, very interesting. Yeah.
But I
Um,
see, I even like Starfield's visual style with the like retro future tech
I
and
agree.
stuff. I really like that
The
too.
NASA punk is what they called it, right?
Mhm.
Like I like that vibe a lot for sure.
mhm.
It's like very like 19 like 40s, I think I'm thinking 1940s to 50s like science fiction, It's like that very
Yeah.
like it's like
It reminds me of like the Alien movie though. Like I do like it. I think it's cool.
kind of, but I think the difference is like Alien I feel like in the 70s, like, because you see this in Star Wars too, right? There's like a lot of that science fiction, like the worlds are dirty, and like the ships are like there's a million wires and pumps and everything's shooting steam off, and it's like it has this very like ramshackle feel to it. Whereas like everything in Starfield reminds me a little bit more of that like golden age sci-fi where it's like it's very clean. It's like very sleek. People have been living in space and flying spaceships for hundreds of years, and it's like it's the culture around it is like how cars are now, right? Where it's just like it's just part of the culture rather than like being this kind of like oh I don't who we're gonna jump to lights hyperspeed. I hope we don't die. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I always like that kind of thing where it feels like a lived in world then. It feels like there is
Yeah.
that expectation of it.
All right, let's jump to the next one.
The one that really matters for this show, best game on Steam
Oh yeah.
Deck.
Yeah. So the best game on Steam Deck, we had what is it? Yeah, okay. So we had Diablo 4, Brotato, the Turf Wizard game, Dredge, and the Outlast Trials were the 5 games nominated, and Hogwarts Legacy took the win. Not
Mhm.
Surprising. I know that the game was popular and that there was sort of a lot of people playing it. And it was always at the top of the sort of the Steam Deck list.
That's the thing for me was how it was like always on the top of the most played
Yeah.
Steam Deck games. That I guess that makes sense, right?
But I just don't understand how you can say that it's like the best game on Steam Deck when I don't. It's not doesn't run. It runs well. It runs fine, but it's not like it runs like at a surprisingly high. Not like Resident Evil 4 or something where
Yeah,
it
I
would be
think I
surprised
think it's not
run.
necessarily how well it runs. So the kind of category is the game was so good you wanted to take it everywhere, so you grabbed your Steam Deck and it did. Luckily, everything that made it endlessly playable at your desk got even
All
better on
right,
the go.
that's yeah.
It's
You're
the
all right
kind of
there.
game that fits a
Can't
handheld.
put down.
Yeah, like a
You're.
Dredge really fits a handheld. Diablo 4 is phenomenal on Steam
Mhm.
Deck. Like
Sure.
those open world games that you're exploring, like Hogwarts Legacy, where you're just running around the fucking castle grounds or whatever you do in that game, then that does fit well on a handheld. You're kind of grinding away.
You do make a good point. Yeah, you are right. I was thinking about it more of like from a it plays the
Tech
best on Steam Deck
standpoint,
tech-wise. But yeah,
yeah.
you are right.
Yeah,
Like having something you want to pick up and take with you, like Vampire Survivors last year is something I wouldn't have played as much as I did
totally.
if I was just sitting at a PC playing it. Whereas being able to just sort of like grind out runs when I'm like sitting in front of the TV or just watching something else or sitting with cat or whatever, like it was interesting. Or it was, the Steam Deck let me play more of that, so I can, yeah. I reckon that would have won last year. I don't know what the awards were last year, but I feel like that would have won.
Yeah, I don't know if they had that last year. I don't remember, but yeah, I think the other thing that I could see here is it's similar to the conversation we had about Starfield, where there was definitely a group of people that were like, "Damn, like this game didn't get any nominations at the end of the
Mm,
year, and it got totally forgotten." And obviously there's a lot of baggage with this IP at this point that I think also plays a role there. So like there are people that are either like behind it and want to push it, or that are like that shouldn't matter. The game should be judged on its own merits, um and I could see that being a similar thing where like it was at the top of the lists all year, and also I imagine there are people that really liked it that feel like, hey, like you
They
know,
missed out on a bunch of awards because of it,
yeah,
yeah.
and I wanna give it attention because it was the game I played the most on Steam Deck this year, so, like, it
Yeah.
deserves this nod.
To
mhm.
answer your question, Max, last year the award was called Best Game on the Go and not Best
Okay.
on Deck.
Gotcha.
And Death Stranding won last year, but Vampire Survivors
Interesting.
and Marvel Snap were both nominated last year.
I guess if you're I don't
I could only play Death Stranding on a handheld. That game is the most boring thing I've ever
Oh,
played.
really?
I could not possibly want to sit on my sofa playing that game. You just run around with a fucking backpack on. It's so
You gotta
dull.
drink
It's just
Monster
real
Energy
life.
drinks and
Oh,
make
yeah, you got
sure
to drink energy drinks.
make sure
They're
that,
patched out of the PC version, but yeah.
alright. Make sure
Really?
that Norman Reedus doesn't fall over. Okay, let's move along. Okay, so then we get the Labor of Love Award. This game has been out for a while. The team is well past the debut of their creative baby, but being the good parents they are, these devs continue to nurture and support their creation. This game to this day is still getting new content after all these
What?
years.
This is another
Okay,
one that's
what?
got to be a troll,
What?
right? Has to be a troll. Pete, read the list out. Has to be.
Our nominees were Deep Rock Galactic, Dota 2, Rust, Apex Legends, and then our winner, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Didn't they close the online down or something on this? Like,
They've just never once updated the single player, and I'm pretty sure the online has also been abandoned. This is a game that has come out and been left. Obviously, the single player came out as a finished game. It was praised for being a great single player game that had a fantastic story, but then they just didn't support it like in the same way that they didn't really support GTA outside of the multiplayer stuff. But even then, they haven't
yeah.
really supported the multiplayer of Red Dead Redemption 2. So this has to be a troll, or like this has to be the audience similar to what we had before, where the audience is coming together and going, let's just poke fun at this. But the fact that how
Or
do
it
you
could just be
organize
that
that?
so many people love this
I,
game
I
and
think
are
it's
finding it still.
I think that's the other thing you have to consider though, right? Is that like the game came out on Steam in 2019, right? But it got a patch a year ago that made it run really well on Steam Deck. And then it was a top 5 game on Steam Deck uh like I think every month after that. Maybe it's only like top 10 or whatever, but I think it was in the top 20 every month after it got patched. Um Check me on that. But uh that I could see that being the case where it is a game that like it a lot of people played it for the first time now because it got updated and it runs better, and it runs on a wider array of rigs, and it was on sale a lot. So people maybe were like, I wanted to play Red Dead Redemption. It's on sale for $30. It's on sale for, $20. I'll buy it. I played it. I loved it. And then I gave the nod. I think that could be the case here too. Like those other examples we gave where it's just like because I mean, again, it was in the top games on Steam Deck all the time. You got to imagine that's probably some of the most activated players in the Steam community. Maybe they're out there voting for it every day
Yeah,
because they thought it was great.
Yeah, the
but
last patch was
You'd ex-
March, though.
you'd
Like, it
expect
was a
it to
long time
be
ago.
okay. You'd expect it to be, but again, though, the patch happened in March. The first patch that made it playable was last year, and then it's been on sale. So imagine
Mhm.
you were interested in it. It got patched. It went on sale in the winter, and you bought it a few months later, and it's still new to you.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the company that they're still being supported, still getting content after all these years.
Yeah, that's the thing of the
Yeah,
category that I struggle with is the content after all these years because Red Dead Redemption Online, as far as I was aware, was like
pretty dead.
dead.
Yeah, it's Red
Because they
Dead.
haven't supported it. Yeah. They clearly started working on GTA 6 and they've left it at that. But
I think it also just wasn't
yeah,
as popular as
yeah,
GTA,
that's
so it's
true.
like,
Not
what
as
you gonna
popular
do?
as GTA Online. You put your eggs in the right baskets.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. You gotta do what you gotta do. Moving along, VR game of the year. The VR
Mm.
game of the year isn't merely masquerading as regular reality. This game improves on reality, taking advantage of the medium of VR and pushing the boundaries of the virtual realm.
Oh, Gorilla Tag is actually really fucking fun, and so is the I Expect You to Die games. I've not played the winner though. Labyrinth.
Labyrinthine was the winner.
It
We
looks
had,
scary as hell.
and like you said, we had Expect You to Die 3, FIFA FC 23, FI 23. Oh, this is the racing one.
F1.
F1, whatever. Gorilla Tag and Ghosts of Tabor.
FI.
F1, sure, whatever.
It's the really fast cars, Pete.
I'm with you. Yeah,
Not NASCAR. Not
yeah.
NASCAR.
It's the same thing basically. It's fast cars.
No. NASCAR
There's
they
just,
just go around in a circle, right? That's it. They just loop the
and
loop
what do they do
all
in
the
this one? They go
time.
in a straight
They
line.
go around like bends and all sorts of twisty turnies and stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chicanes, I think.
Cars in different shapes,
Oh,
driving fast,
yeah.
totally different sport.
Very different.
Look, if you like racing cars, that's cool. I get it. It's fine. I'm not a car person. No disrespect.
Me neither.
I don't know about F1.
I
But
don't really understand F1 either. I
No,
guess.
there
no
you go. Hey,
idea.
you know, it didn't win. So Labyrinthine is the one. None of
Yeah.
us are big VR people.
I can imagine it's really fucking cool to play like a car game in VR though, where you're going really, really fast and there's no like risk reward.
I don't
It's
think
like
it would be fun though, because that's the thing that's the whole fucking thing with VR is like it doesn't feel real. Like you can see it, but part of the fun of being in a car that's fast and
it's the
driving fast
acceleration.
is feeling it move. And
Yeah.
that doesn't happen. And it's like, what's the point? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like better off going on a roller coaster. Like that's what you actually want.
No, I hate roller coasters, but yeah, I see your point.
Okay. Last one.
The
Game of the
big
year.
game.
We had Hogwarts Legacy, Resident Evil 4, EA FC 24, Baldur's Gate 3, and Lethal Company. And of course, surprising no one, the winner was Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, that's well deserved.
Yeah,
How
I agree.
fucking cool though that Lethal Company's here. Like,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
think if you are the developer of Lethal Company, you got to feel really, really good about
2
that.
out of 5 games here are
Absolutely.
indies. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Imagine making one thing by yourself and thinking, maybe like a few hundred people will play it. Me and my mates will enjoy it. Someone will enjoy it. And then,
Yeah.
this.
And then
Really, really
instead,
cool.
one of the 5 most popular games on the de facto place to play PC games.
Exactly.
Pretty sick. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
They
And
got to be killing
do you know this developer where they started, Pete? It's such a cool story. They were a Roblox developer when they were like a kid, and then they like made games on Roblox, sold them, did that, and then like ventured out into making an actual game. Like, yeah, these
Yo.
games
How
started out as
old are
like
they?
Roblox games. 21.
Oh, okay.
This is like their fucking 5th game, too.
Lethal Company has
Oh.
apparently earned $6 million.
Zeekers. That could, no, it is the same
Wow.
developer. Yeah. This is like this person's 6th game.
Wow.
Fuck. You said it made how much?
6 million so far.
Bro. Oh my god.
They're
Yo.
fucked.
Shout out to Zeekers.
I've played It Steals, which was his first game on
The rest.
Steam, and it's phenomenal.
What's their name?
Zeekers.
Zeekers?
No, but like, do we know the person's name or is that just like the
Oh.
No, that's just what they go by.
Damn. That's awesome.
That's really cool.
That's a really cool story. Yeah. Congratulations to them.
Yeah,
that's like
more
fucking
cool
awesome.
story than anything.
That's like the shit that like those stories are so cool. I think it's like part of what makes video games such a exciting medium to cover as like a person that is excited about the arts, right? It's like
Mhm.
it's the only major entertainment medium where something made by actually made by one person can be a success like that, you know? Like that's so rare. in like
Yeah,
anything
you
else.
can't really like publish a movie, can you? Like it just,
Not
not like
really.
I guess you
It's
could put
like,
it on YouTube, but
but even
it
if you
doesn't
did,
really.
it's like you starred, shot, like you didn't make it by yourself, probably, right?
Mm,
Like actual ability to do that as one person is very, very like you and I talked about it when it came out in 2020. Like Bo Burnham's Inside, right? Is like that's such a vast skill set it
yeah,
takes to make
yeah.
something like that. And
Mhm.
even that is just a thing he shot in his fucking house.
But
Like that's
video games,
not,
I think, it's the next level though. It's like
yeah,
I kind of feel like video games is now the top form of media. Like whereas movies used to be, it
yeah.
would combine like story and moving pictures and music. Now video games contains all of that, and also you control everything. And the fact that you can make that as one person, so you wrote the music, you did all of this, and maybe you did, maybe he didn't write the music, or maybe that asset is bought in or something. But the fact that you can combine all that together and make something is really really cool.
And just to have the idea anyway, it's not like having a movie idea where you have like a story idea and you're just realizing that story. To have like a game idea, it's so many things that interact, especially a multiplayer game. There's so many things, so many people that have to interact and yeah, just very, very, very impressive.
Yeah, even if like a dozen people helped make the game, right? Like it's just it's like Undertale's like that, right? Like it's like, oh, Toby Fox made it. It's like, yeah, and like a handful of other people helped, right? But it's like he did most of the work, right? It's the same thing with like Stardew. It's like it's pretty much one person, right? And there's like a few other people that came along and helped out with this and that or whatever. But it's like, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy that one person, 21 years old, $6 million.
Mm.
Sick. Fucking sick.
Very sick.
They made 5 games with no money. I can't wait to see how many games they make with $6 million. It's insane. Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, another great year for the Steam Awards. Another great year for the Steam Deck. Like we said at the top, or I guess not at the top during the plugs. Next week, we're probably going to be talking about MSI's new deck competitor. We're definitely going to be talking about Six Shot Ocelot's question about what we're looking for in 2024 on the Steam Deck, whether that's your craziest wish list item or the things you realistically think could come across the finish line. We want to hear from you. I want to know what are the things you're looking forward to on everybody's favorite portable PC powerhouse in 2024 and beyond. First show of the year. Great work, everybody. Any final thoughts before we get it out of here?
No, yeah, I'm pumped for another year. Like it's crazy that this is now what the third year we're going into that we've been doing this show,
Yeah.
and more people listen to it constantly. There's always more people popping into the Discord, and it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you all for being here with us and hanging out.
Yeah, welcome to the new people, and thanks for hanging around to the old people. By old people, I mean you two.
Oh yeah, it was
'Cause
our birthday.
you
Yeah,
both just
so
had
I guess
birthdays,
so. Yeah,
so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
One more step closer to the grave, you know?
Yeah. You'll be there soon, Max. Right?
Yeah, you
I've
old
got 6
motherfucker.
months. I've got 6 months.
Yeah. Just wait. Your temples are gonna start going gray. You get days left.
Nah, I'm gonna
You
shave
really
them all off, mate. Don't you worry about
Yeah, that's
that.
what I do. Don't worry. Down the top, you never know how many grays you got. You're fine.
Yeah, can't even see through it.
All right, gang. Thank you for joining us here on another episode of the Steam Deck Podcast. Remember, if you want to go and show your support on Patreon, if you want to write into the show just like everybody did, or for next week's show, guess what? You can find links to all that and much more over on flipscreen.games. That's our website. Make sure you go over there, click on the links to the Flip Screen Game Podcast, and check out our Game of the Year for 2023 episode. We worked real hard on it. It's a good episode. I hope you'll go check it out. For the crew, and we'll see you next week, of course. For the crew, I've been Pete. He's been Steve. Over there's been Max. We'll see you next week.